Hi, today we're going to be going over some things that you will need to know if you plan on being a student at some point, whether it's in high school or college, whether you are a little bit older than most students, you're planning on going back to college. A lot of times you're required to take a math class, and that involves doing math things. Today in this video we're going to go over some basic algebra, solving equations for x. This is something that you'll need to know and have down, and all the way through algebra, through calculus, engineering, science, chemistry. These are things that are really key and fundamental for what you're going to be doing. So we're just going to go over some very basic things in this video. So here we go. Okay, here we go. We have this equation right here we're going to start with. It's pretty simple. It says 3x plus 4 equals 13. For those who don't know, x is what's called a variable. And when you see a variable, it's usually a letter. A lot of times it's x. It can be y or really any symbol. We're just going to use x mostly in our examples, but it just means that it's something that we don't know what it is, a variable. It can vary. And usually what we're trying to do with these variables is we're trying to find out what it is. And when there's just one in an equation, we can do that pretty simply. So it's like it's just surrounded by the 3 in front of it, the 4, the equal sign of the 13. It's like a damsel in distress. We're going to rescue it in this video. So there you go. Get ready for the adventure. First thing that we need to do is we need to take the first step to getting x by itself. So I'm going to start with this 4 right here. It's a positive, you can see, because of the plus sign, and we're going to get rid of it. So the way that we get rid of it is we're going to minus a 4 from that side. And this equal sign right here, that means that we need to keep everything the same on both sides. So if we subtract 4 from this side, we need to subtract 4 from this side right here. So we're going to just do that right there. Just how we planned, the 4 and the negative 4, they equal 0. So we're just going to put an x to that and cancel it out. But on this side, we need to kind of deal with the aftermath, which, that was kind of funny. But 13 minus 4 equals 9. You can see right there. And then this 3x comes down here. And now we have 3x minus 9, so we're one step closer. And what we're going to do, since this 3 is being multiplied by the x, we're going to do the opposite of multiplication. And we're going to have to do that to both sides, just like we did with the subtraction. So I'm going to do that right there. So, divided by 3, divided by 3. That's a lot like life. When you have a problem like this and you need to solve it, you need to figure out what is going to be, what is going to be the best, easiest option to solve that. And a lot of times it's the opposite of what got you into the problem. So this multiplication got us into the problem. Now we're going to get out of it by doing this division right here. So we're going to divide that by there. Those 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we're just going to not write that. Now we have a 9 divided by 3, which equals 3. So we're going to write this at the bottom. X equals 3. And there you go. We solved for x. We saved the damsel in distress, and now we know what x is from this original equation. If you plugged 3 into this equation, so it was 3 times x, which is 3, plus 4, we know that it would be 13. So there you go. Okay, so we have another problem here. This one is a little bit more complicated. On the right side we have 4, and on the left side we have a big mess. That's a square root bracket, and underneath it you have an 8 plus x minus 3 in parentheses over 2. So that whole thing is under the square root. And in the last problem we talked about solving for x. It's kind of like a damsel in distress, and the things around it are kind of trapping it and keeping us from knowing what it is. And this one has a few more issues, but we're going to use the same process. It's really simple, and here we go. So just like we talked about before, when you have an issue, you're going to do the opposite of it. So right here, the issue is this square root bracket. We can't do anything until we get rid of it. So we're going to do the opposite of that, which is to square it. So when we square it like that 2, we have to do it to both sides like we talked about because of this equal sign. It needs to be equal. So we're going to do the same thing to this 4. We're going to square it. And the nice thing is, just like how we planned, this square root and the 2 that's squaring, they're going to cancel out, which is great. That's what we wanted. Over here we have 4 squared, and when you have something that's squared, that just means that it's going to be times itself. So we're going to have 4 times 4, and we know that equals 16. So over here, that's going to be 16. So now we got rid of that square root symbol. Still, a little messy, but it's not anything that we can't deal with. First thing that I'm going to choose to deal with is this 8 over here. It's by itself. It seems like it's pretty, pretty simple. So we're going to minus 8 from that side, and we're going to minus 8 from this side because we got to keep things equal. So that gets rid of that 8 over there, which is great, 0. And over here, 16 minus 8 is 8. So now our equation looks like x plus, or that's a minus, my bad, 3 over 2. Okay, so now we have x minus 3 over 2 equals 8. Now, the next thing that I'm going to go after is that 2 on the bottom. So since that's dividing by 2, I'm going to do the opposite of that, and I'm going to multiply this side by 2. And I'm going to multiply this side by 2 as well. Just like in life, when you have a problem, usually the solution to that problem is doing the opposite of what you did to get into that problem. So over here, 2, we have a 2 on top and we have a 2 on bottom. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's just going to cancel out right there. And next, and over here we have the aftermath, 8 times 2, so that equals, so that gives us 16 on that side, and over here we just have what was left in that parentheses, so we just have x minus 3. We don't really have to worry about the parentheses anymore because it's the only thing that's left. So now we're back to the simple things, and we have x minus 3, so we're going to plus this 3 right there, and we're going to plus right there. And that's going to cancel out, and that's going to be 16 plus 3, and that tells us that x equals 19. Some things we learn here is it doesn't really matter how complicated a problem looks as long as you know how to deal with the opposite of things. Like for that square root, we just squared it and did it to both sides. So just remember those rules. You do something to one side, you got to do it to the other side, and yeah, not too bad. And we're done.